Chair lays out SCR25 by Senator Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Appreciate the opportunity to come before all of you this morning with SCR25. SCR25 expresses the opposition of the 88th legislature of the state of Texas to the creation of a central bank digital currency due to concerns about privacy, financial stability, and increased vulnerability to federal oversight and security threats. Members, the United States Federal Reserve is considering a CBDC without fully addressing key issues related to privacy and cybersecurity. A retail CBDC issued to the general public would establish a direct relationship between the Federal Reserve and consumers, leading to potential government surveillance and control over private cash holdings and transactions. Global leaders have expressed concern about the threat of cyber risk to financial stability, and CBDC vulnerabilities could be exploited to compromise a nation's financial system. Many CBDC proposals involve the centralized collection of transaction data, posing significant privacy and security risks, such as making it easier for intruders to access the data of more users. CBDC proposals that attempt to minimize risk often reduce transparency for regulators seeking to detect money laundering, terrorism financing, and other illicit activities. The implementation of a CBDC would make countless U.S. citizens more vulnerable to intrusive federal oversight and security threats. Given such concerns, SCR25 seeks to highlight the Texas legislature's opposition to the creation of a central bank digital currency in order to protect the privacy, financial stability, and security of U.S. citizens. Further, I'd add that beyond all the privacy concerns, cyber issues, and so forth, to me, this is about protecting the U.S. dollar. The dollar, as the reserve currency of the world, is really what enables America to be functionally strong, to exercise the level of hegemonic influence that we have globally. It's because the dollar is the reserve currency. And so my concern, as many others have, is that it would weaken potentially the dollar. And as a result, I really view it more to be a political stunt than good, sound policy. And for those reasons, I think it's important for the legislature to weigh in and send a message to Washington that this would not be in the best interest of this state or the best interest of our Texas, folks in Texas that we represent, nor the nation as a whole. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll conclude my comments and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, members. Thank you, sir. Members, questions? Sir?
Senator Parker, this is a great effort. Thank you for advancing it. Do you think we're too late?
So it's a great question. I would have loved to have done this earlier, no question about that. But no, I do not think we're too late. I think right now what's really happening is that you have the political shop in the current administration that is driving this concept, and the Federal Reserve, generally speaking, the senior members of the Federal Reserve have great concern and don't want to move forward. So I think it's very timely, actually. We'd love to have done it a year ago, a couple years ago, but I think it's very timely that we strike and put this message out there now.
Who owns the Federal Reserve?
Supposedly we do, right? But look, at the end of the day, I just think this policy is failed, a failed concept, and I think it's, as people here in Texas that believe in the power of federalism, that the states must drive an agenda, Washington needs to listen to what Texas has to say. The 10th Amendment matters. Let Texas run Texas, as you say, and we all say, Senator. I think that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish here. But this is just a poor concept in my assessment, and fraught with real risk for the United States on a global basis. I mean, the impact, potentially, the negative impact on our hegemonic influence, both economically and in the way that we are able to project power around the world, would be just potentially devastating.
Well, I appreciate you bringing it forward. If it was still January, I would say that this would rise to the level of needing to be an emergency item. And I just really appreciate you leading. I think Texas should be the tip of the spear to create critical mass on exactly this subject. And I just thank you for bringing it forward. I hope we can just launch this as fast as we can to the governor's desk.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions? Thank you, Senator. Chair opens up public testimony and calls Stephen Kennard, Tom Glass, Gregory Porter.
I'm Tom Glass with Texas Constitutional Enforcement. We're in favor of the bill. Money is the lifeblood of an economy. If you have unstable money or money that is controlled by a very small few, incredibly bad things happen to everyone in the economy, especially the poorest among us. So getting stable money is one of the most important things we do. In fact, we spent a lot of time this morning and in this session talking about Winter Storm Uri. I think we are in this nation facing a situation where we're going to have a financial storm. Well, I guess we could call it Financial Storm Powell or whatever you want to call it, coming at us, and we need to be ready as much as we can. Part of it is the fact that the foreign countries are assaulting what Senator Parker just talked about, which is the reserve status of the dollar. And if that happens, we're going to be in the soup. The central bank digital currency is another assault on the stability and the liberty and the privacy of Texans. Central bank digital currency is the ultimate police state tool. It lets the government know every penny we spend, and it allows them to control how we spend it or whether we even have the money that we worked for all our lives. They can withdraw it. They can tell us what we can spend it on. They can give us haircuts where $100 today, $80 tomorrow. That all these things are inherent in the programmability and the centralization of digital currencies. It's something we should resist in every way possible. I hope we will do it with this resolution, but with also two other bills that are going forwards to recognize our right to use alternatives that Senator Parker has, as well as trying to get some digital gold currency going that Senator Hughes is working on. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Steve Kennard. I represent the Texas Blockchain Council, and I'm a proud native Texan. Senate Concurrent Resolution 25 rightly establishes opposition to a central bank digital currency, a CBDC, citing very real risks related to cybersecurity and privacy. These are risks in the absence of any legitimate benefit or demand that cannot be better served by the private market or innovations like Bitcoin. However, the real issue is not one of the nuances of technology or regulatory oversight. We are here today to write the next chapter in a story as old as time, a story of the perils of centralized power, of omnipotent royalty and a helpless peasantry, of the suffering of the powerless many at the hands of the powerful few, of a despotic king in the oppressed American colonies and the struggle for liberty and justice. Prior chapters include the triumph of our Declaration of Independence, the sacrifices made at the Alamo, the resolve of General Sam Houston, who led our Texan forefathers, saying, "Be men, be free men, that your children may bless their father's name." Now a bureaucratic and dysfunctional Washington, D.C. would have us follow the Chinese Communist Party into the darkness and tyranny of a CBDC. Texas must lead the United States and the world with the light of liberty. Concentrating central bank control over financial transactions is an existential threat to our freedom. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. A free and sovereign Texas is facing extinction under a CBDC. It is our generation's duty to oppose a CBDC. I pray that we summon the courage to ensure future generations inherit a free nation under God, and not a nation under surveillance and censorship. I urge you to support this resolution, this call to action, that the blessings of private property and money for a free people shall not perish from the earth.
Thank you, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Well said. My name is Gregory Porter. I'm here on behalf of myself and Texas for Liberty. Without privacy, we have no liberty. And this is really a function of privacy on many levels. CBDCs combined with digital identifiers, I believe, are the biggest threat to human liberty in modern history. And I'm not a proponent necessarily of crypto, so I think it's important that we distinguish this, but it's very important to consider the discrepancy between what the modern concept of crypto really is offering, just as a theory. I'm not speaking on behalf of it, which are a lot of mechanisms that allow anonymity and sovereignty, which is very distinct from the programmable nature of these CBDCs. In China, they're using these to expire in a certain period as a way to motivate certain expenditures. You could geofence and force a lockdown simply using this. But maybe one of the most important distinctions that we need to consider is that what this does is it creates a direct relationship to the Fed, which absolutely has private interest motivating it to the extent people would argue. But what that does is it's going to cut out the middlemen of the banks. And that's a very dangerous concept for competition. And I think what we need to do about this is to really support bills. Senator Parker has something on the table, Representative DeRazio, that increase the variability of options that we have for different mediums of exchange, making sure that we can use and choose forms of crypto if that's somebody's risk tolerance, certainly gold and precious metals, and also the right to use cash. So my recommendation is that we pass this constitutional amendment and that we reject any form of CBDC, but also any form of digital identification, and that includes digital driver's licenses, which just got passed in the House, HB 71. It's coming over to you guys. There's a meme, and I'll end with this, out on the internet that shows a little child, and the teacher asks, "Can you spell slavery?" And the child writes digital identification on the blackboard. Digital identifiers are the way that ESG, surveillance systems, and also CBDCs will be used as a mechanism of discrepancy. We need to say no to those as well.
Thank you very much. Members, questions? Hearing none, we're going to close public testimony and leave the bill pending. Thank you, Senator.